Hey everyone, so this is a video I've been wanting to do for quite a while. Just last year I found out a kind of a little workaround to being able to control my synths, my external synths, my hardware synthesizers, of which I've got quite a few in the studio here, how to control them within Logic instead of having the problem where I've got some external synths here, and I've also then got my controller keyboard, and I'm often struggling with being able to play and go through patches. I'm not, my arms are not long enough, and on the other side of the studio there are other synthesizers, and often you can kind of zip through patches on those, but it's often really great to be able to kind of do that within the DAW. So this video is primarily about that. All right, so let's jump in to Logic. I've got a setup. I'll show you how it works first, and then I'll run through the whole setup of what and how we set that up. Let's do it. Okay, so here we are in Logic. I've got a template here set up. This is one of my straight up composition templates. A really nice little starting point I always use, and down the bottom you can see all of my external synths all kind of listed, all set up. We've got, for example, here, let's have a look at this. We've got the XV5050, which I'll just demo what I've actually done here as well. Now you can see I've got an external instrument version of it and also a program version of it here as well. Now more on that when I come around to showing you how to set this up. But under the program here, if we go over to the parameter box on the left hand side, you can see all of the MIDI input and output ports, and most importantly the program changes here and the banks. All right, so that's really important, the banks. And what I'm able to do from here is I can change the sounds of the XV from here. All right, so change the program. So you can hear right now. Got a little basic kind of little Rhodes piano there. And here are all of the presets listed from the XV on bank 1. So now I can change it to a cathedral organ, instead of having to do that from the actual synthesizer itself. All right, so I don't need to go over there and actually change it, which is quite a way. My arms don't stretch that far. So this is the key to it. This is what this is all about. This is why it's really useful. All right, I am doing all the program patch changing from here. So essentially I could kind of record something in here and then start changing. All right. Okay, so how do we set all this up? And that's what we're going to look at now. Okay, so to start off this process, I thought I'd show you how I generally set up my external MIDI hardware, my synthesizers. I do this in the utilities folder under the audio MIDI setup, and we'll dive in there and have a quick look at this right now. So if I just bring this into focus here onto the screen, you can see that all of these are all of my MIDI devices, my external hardware. I've got a MIDI face 16 input output here, all right, which is my MIDI external interface for all my 5-DIN pin gear, and you can see down here that I have already set up all of my instruments. For example, here the Roland XV5050, and you can see these MIDI inputs and outputs are already connected to input 2. And this is actually already named. Now, if you didn't actually name these inputs, you could naturally just plug all of your hardware into the MIDI face, your audio interface of choice. But without naming each one of these, it would just turn up as, for example, MIDI face input 1. MIDI face input 2, input 3. All right, now the reason I name these and picture these is because that within the DAW, within Logic, we can then instantly see which instrument is plugged into which input on my MIDI interface. All right, so that's really quite important. It's really easy to do. Generally you're just going to add a new one, just using the plus at the top. There I've just brought in a new one there. Look, there we go, and you're just taking the output, putting it into an input on the MIDI face, and also going back the other way as well. We're not going to do that now anyway. But so let's delete that one, so I don't need that. All right, so that's how we do the setup in the MIDI interface. And you'll see why that's really important in a moment. Okay, we can kind of quit that now. Okay, I've got now a new instance of Logic open, a new project here, and we're selecting an external MIDI track. Okay, now. Generally, we're in new ways of doing this. For some reason, you cannot do what we're about to do, being able to do the patch changes using an external instrument plugin. All right, external instruments plugins are really great. You get the MIDI. You're able to play the instrument using this, but also you're able to select an audio input of which to grab the input from that synthesizer or drum machine. All right, but I've never found a workaround yet to be able to do the patch changing. If anybody out there knows how to do that, please let us know in the comments. I'd be really interested to know, but I've kind of tried to problem solve this and don't seem to get anywhere with it. All right, so we're not going to use the external instrument plugin. We're going to switch that off. Now here's how the naming works. So MIDI destination. If I click under this list now, that you can actually see all of my synthesizers named. All right, now like I said, if they weren't named, they would just come up as MIDI face input 1, 2, 3, etc. All right, but this is a really great way to be able to go right. I want to kind of grab the MIDI from any one of these synths. So we're going to go for the Juno X today. So I'm going to set this up. We're going to go for all. All right, so any MIDI inputs and outputs being sent from my controller keyboard are going to the Juno. And that's it, easy as. So we'll create that now. The Juno is on over here. Let's see if we've got some sound. Yep, we do. Great. And there you go, look, there it is, straight away. I've got to come to the synth to play it, and I can't change those presets from here. My controller keyboard is also playing that because I've set that up. We'll have a look at that now as well. All right, that's all good to go. So what we've got over here, this is where it's the really important stuff. So we've set the track up, and you can see that you've got MIDI output port, all right, as the Juno, and we've also got the MIDI channel outs, which we set up as all already. And here's what we're dealing with, programs. And if we click under here, you can see the standard general MIDI 128 presets. We can use these if we wanted to. But what we want to do is we want to swap those out for the actual Juno sounds, the banks as well. Now, to do that, we've got to go to the manual. So we've got to find the manual, all right? So manuals are really important, so we can get to the preset list. And that's the next stage. So in the background here we go, look, I've got the manual online. I've got one actually downloaded, but I thought I'd use the online one today to show you that. So we've got scenes on the Juno X, and we've also got the tone list. The tone list is what I'm really kind of focusing on today. Now, I'm not going to be able to do these. If anybody knows the Juno X out there, there's over 4,000 sounds in the Juno X, of which you can also kind of use the Roland Cloud software and download further presets and sounds for the Juno X. So there's no way I'm going to go through doing 4,000 presets with you. It'd be quite boring. All right, let's jump down. We can see the scene list. All right, but what I want is the tone list: bank 1, bank 2, bank 3. So let's jump down. Here we go. Tone list. Right. So you can see here, Juno X starts off with the Juno X, all right? So we've got the Juno 1 all the way through to 145 sounds, all right? That's what we want. So generally we're going to copy and paste those out and we're going to put them into a spreadsheet, of which I use Google Docs. And you can see here, look, I've already done some of my synthesizers. So the JV, the XV5050 that I showed you the problems with earlier, all right, that is here. These are all the sounds out of the manual that I've got there as well. You can see there's 128 in each bank. So you can see the banks up the top, all right? So we've got a user group, a PA, PB, and so on and so forth, and these are the actual sounds within those banks. Now, Juno X. I've made a tab already. And the Juno X, that I've copied all of those titles out of that that first bank. All right, and this is what we're really we need. We need all this information here. All right. So we go back to, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually now going to copy all of these. So I'm going to do a quick select. I'm going to go for that first 128. We'll just do it. We can go for even more. Let's go to, it goes to the widow plug. So let's do that. Command and C. All right, they're copied onto my clipboard. All right, so I'm going to go back to Logic. Now, how do we do this? All right, so we've got to get into the environment, the old back end of Logic. All right, now, for some reason, in the new versions of Logic, which we have here, the environment which is always shown under the window tab here is not available anymore. They've taken it out. Apple, I don't know why you've done that. Strange thing to do. Us as old school Logic users, we often go into the environment, all right, to use lots of different changes. We used to go in there to set up the arpeggiators, and we can also set up loads of other MIDI commands and lots of other stuff we can do in the environment. It's the back end of Logic and how Logic is set up and routed, all right. But that's now not available in here, all right. But there's a workaround. If I hold down Option and then click on the window, you can then see it appears Open MIDI Environment. There we go. Okay, so let's click that. Here we are in the MIDI environment. Oh, anybody out there remember this? This brings us back some memories. I used to use this all the time. All right, so we're going for a layer. We've got to choose the layer. We're on currently in the mixer, but we want obviously the MIDI instruments. And there's my Roland Juno X, all set up, all titled. And this is the most important stuff now. We're going to now double click on this and it will now open up this area here where we can now see the banks and each of the program names, the patch names within. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to select 0 grand piano. We're going to leave it as a default of Control 32. Here. You've also got setups done here for example, I've got a CS2X in the studio here. I've not actually got around to doing this one yet, but I would use this and it would actually probably have all the banks. I haven't explored that one yet, but it's something I could have a look at later. But we're just going to do, we're just going to set up a custom one. So we're just going to stick with the default Control 32 and we are going for bank 0, all right? Now, here we go, look, options, under the options list. Copy all names, paste all names. Now, this is what I want to do. I want to now paste all of those names that I've copied to my clipboard into here. Boom, there we go, all right. So we can now close this. And finally, the most important thing now we're going to do to initialize this is hit the program here. So once we've ticked the program, which will initialize, we have to do one final thing. Now, going back to the manual, some synthesizers will require this to be implemented. others don't. More modern day synthesizers will require either an MSB amount or an LSB amount being added. I'm going to show you how to do that now. MSB meaning most significant byte, and LSB meaning least significant byte. To simplify that, it's a data message. A typical MIDI data range is from 0 to 127. Only a certain amount of bytes can be added into that, and what the most significants do are add an extra layer, should we say, of more bytes allowed on top of. So yeah, we need to pay attention to the MSB and LSBs for our tones here. You can see they're pretty much all the same all the way through, although there you can see that some of them change to 77. But primarily for this Juno X synth, I'm going to be dealing with the MSB types, which are all coming out at 97. Yeah. All right. So back into Logic, and the way we set this up is in the environment, same environment we're in. We're going to Options, and we are going to go to Define Custom Bank Messages. And here we are. Look, we can see bank 0. So I'm dealing with bank 0. That's what I've actually added just for this demo. We've got status control, number, value. So the value is where we're going to put the MSB, because we've got it selected MSB. You can see here bank MSBs, and you can go down through here. There's LSBs at the very bottom as well. All right, but we're just dealing with the standard default MSB, most significant byte. And the value we're going to put into there is that it was 97. My memory is serving right. Yep, it is 97. Value into there. Now, so we're pretty much done in the environment now. We can close this. And now let's see if we get anything from the Roland. Yep. And now let's start to change some patches from here. Yep. Let's go through some others. So these are the patches I copy and pasted in earlier. Excellent. And there we are. It's all done. I'm controlling the Juno synth from my controller keyboard, and also I'm able to change the patches, you know, instead of going to the Juno synth from here. So to finish up, I just wanted to show you a couple of other things to be aware of. You know, I only have done one bank of sounds, i.e. the Juno X sounds themselves. I could absolutely carry on going, doing the 106, the 60, and all of the other synths that have got built into the Juno X. But yeah, you don't want to sit here watching me do that. It's going to be a little bit boring. But I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of a couple of other little things before we finish up the video here today. Hold down Option again, go to Window, so we can jump into the environment. And here we are back in there. I want to just quickly show you that if we were to bring in an additional bank. Now I remember actually there was 144 different sounds for this Juno X, and we're only allowed 128 different sounds within here. So if I wanted to do the other additionals between 128 and 144, I would start another bank. And we change the bank message to 32 again, and then we would just paste all of those in, and we'd rename the bank as well. All right. So yeah, you absolutely can keep on going. One other thing to be aware of as well, untick the Use GM drum program for channel 10, because yeah, if you do, you might end up having some sounds triggering some general MIDI sounds within. You don't want that to happen. Yeah, so finally then, that's all of the setup done. Hopefully that's been clear enough. I'm doing the old way of bringing in and talking to my external MIDI synthesizers, the drum machines, to be able to allow me to change the program patches. If I use the external instrument itself, I could record the audio onto that track initially from the audio input. So yeah, if I want to record the audio of this external synthesizer coming in, I'm going to need to launch an audio track. Here we are, audio track selected. I know I'm coming on into my interface on input 4. I'm going to enable input monitoring and record enable. I only want one track, so let's hit create there. So yeah, record enable on both. I've selected the MIDI track, all right, because I want to record both audio and MIDI at the same time, and literally I'm just going to hit record. There we go. And we have now recorded both. A little low signal, obviously sort your gain structure out, get a bigger level in there, but I was just yeah, demoing. So there you go, all done. That is how we control external synthesizers from within Logic Pro. I hope you found this short tutorial today really helpful. Like me, it's a godsend, absolute godsend, being able to change patches and programs from within Logic. As mentioned earlier in the tutorial, I'm not sure about other DAWs. I've never quite found how to do it in the likes of Ableton or Cubase either as well. And if you have got any information on that, please kind of put those details below in the comments. Finally, if you're liking this content I'm doing here on this channel, feel free to kind of like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell for notifications of when I put something up in the future. Stay safe, everyone. All the best. Until the next time. See ya.